Conservancy, Greenway. So I've been around, done a lot of different interesting projects. Right now, pretty much focused on a lot of CMS free platforms and kind of overall marketing website overhauls. Not getting into as much kind of application or really discrete functionality as much as I used to. But all good stuff, interesting things going on.
I'm John Schmiel. I've been at ICF Next for a little over a year now. I have about 10 years of experience in IT. And I've been doing web development for the past 4 years. Before that, I was at VCU Health, doing some full stack work and some data analysis stuff. And before that, I was at VCU Alumni Relations Department, doing core server and desktop support. While I was working at VCU, I was actually going here and I got my bachelor's and master's in information systems. I also did AITP, that's still around as well. But did that. And at ICF Next, I focus mostly on .NET and work with Sitecore a lot, which is the CMS that's the big Microsoft platform for that. And lots of Azure, all that too.
So I'm going to give you an overview of kind of who we are as an organization, and then we can get into the good stuff that they're going to talk through. So the way that we really describe ourselves at ICF Next is as a consulting agency. So it's really bringing in almost the best of both worlds, if you will. So a technology consulting firm, but with the power of a full service marketing agency. You know, we've really made some evolutions over the past decade as an organization, and now we truly are a very integrated agency that sits within a broader consulting firm, ICF. So when we're talking through kind of our offerings, our disciplines, we're very wide variety in the types of skill sets that our folks have, which lead to very collaborative, diverse conversations, which is really exciting. So these are our kind of key disciplines that we call out. One of the big takeaways here, at least for me, that I think is interesting is that we truly are able to move end to end with our client. We can start very upstream with strategy and transformation and move all the way through into technology implementation, loyalty, kind of customer awareness as well. Do we do that with every project? No, but it is an offering that we have that I think is really interesting, looking at our diverse skill set that we have from an ICF Next perspective. Quick location slide. We are global. We're a global organization. We are 1,700 people plus strong with 17 offices. With ICF, we actually have over 70 offices globally, so we're a pretty tight-knit group in a larger organization, which is pretty cool. This is the quintessential company client slide. These are some of the organizations that we partner with. What I think is really interesting, the big takeaway for me on this is that we're very cross-industry. We work with a lot of different industries. We're not focusing on one specific group. It's more that we're partnering with organizations to help them solve their problems. So problems that are interesting, strategic, that we can really help with our teams and our offerings, that's what we're really partnering and looking to do. And then finally, this is a slide that I think is really interesting. So right now in the market, you're probably seeing larger consulting organizations acquiring smaller design shops, tech shops, agency digital spaces to really build out that agency or digital group. We're doing that as well, but I think the big differentiator for us is that we're a part of an organization that is truly deeply integrated in social good. We do very impactful work, social good focused, humanitarian focused, and that's really our differentiator. I think a lot of groups are trying to get into this space if they're doing work that is stopping smoking or helping veterans, but we're there. We have that footprint, we have that kind of foot in the door with these larger social good offerings that we can do. So these are a couple of things that we've done that I think really showcase our overall experience and kind of expertise in the space. So I always think that's cool to talk through.
Question?
Yeah?
How did that last one happen?
Belize?
Yeah, the meeting deal.
Yeah, so Belize came to us And basically the wide ask that you'll see with consulting, really wide ask, we want to increase tourism. So we partnered with them to really understand, first and foremost, what is a tourist in Belize? What does that profile look like of that individual? What are they looking to do? We really narrowed down, it's someone that's an adventurer. It's someone that wants to go on adventures, try new things. So we launched a social initiative where it was a really big game of hide and seek, actually, that we sent folks down there. Some were seekers, some were hiders, and we did this big kind of campaign with the country, and that got a lot of attention. That started, I think, getting Belize on the map. With that as well, we also partnered with our strategy group to really talk through looking at airlines. Can we start getting more direct flights to Belize? What will that look like? Working with them on their overall brand and their web presence too. So Belize is actually a really cool project because it does showcase a lot of our different groups working together and collaborating.
We rebuilt their website, open source solution, Drupal, you guys may have heard of that, PHP, complete rebrand of the country, their logo, their little deal, everything like that. And it was the focus, you hit the nail on the head, but people who go to Belize are not folks that want to stay in a resort, kick their feet up and drink margaritas all day. They want to do adventures, off the beaten path, don't want a tour guide, and so it's really about finding those people and targeting all of their marketing efforts in the right way versus the typical smiling faces on the beach type of marketing. So just context and personalization really goes a long way. And the engineering piece of that is taking that machine learning from people's interactions with sites and building profiles over time and using real data to make decisions versus kind of the older school way of just making stuff up.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, even looking at kind of the engineering focus, when we had this slide talking through our different disciplines, different folks from different backgrounds, so engineering, business, computer science, design, really are fitting into a lot of those different places. So it's not one background, one role, it really is kind of across the organization as well. Yeah?
There's a short comment, when you talk about to the student, machine learning, this kind of stuff, is you need to remember about making, so-called correlations by a hidden variable. And remember, GDP doesn't directly transfer to the quality of life. And there's actually a very famous case that increased GDP may decrease the quality of life. This is, they call the cares of those golden republics. The republics that have actually very high natural resources are being exploited. If you increase GDP, decrease quality of life. So I wouldn't say by increasing GDP, you directly improve the quality of life. There's not a direct correlation between those two.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's necessarily saying that.
Yeah, it's saying exactly on the slide. But once again, marketing should be controlled by engineering, not to make corrections.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just want to ask, what do you mean by cultural influencers? Like people on Instagram talk about how good Skittles are, something like that?
Yeah, and we worked with Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
who is a big player in the NFL, and Skittles are his absolute favorite go-to candy, and so we partnered with him on a campaign to launch him at Target.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Number one as in revenue or sales, or what do you mean by number one?
It was number one sales, I believe.
Probably self-proclaimed. You are the best.
Cool. Well, do you guys want to move into? We want to talk through a case study with you, just to show you some of the work that we've done.
So I'll talk about this a little bit. I've been working with UHC on a bunch of different projects over probably the last 4 or 5 years. You guys might not be as familiar with it, not having had a manager in healthcare too much yet, but if you go into UHC.com, there's kind of like this consumer-facing, just marketing, how to be healthy, what is health insurance. There's My UHC, which is the place you have to log into to manage your claims, your HSA payments, all of your transactional stuff. And then there's all these other little microsites. There's Medicaid Made Clear, which John's working on. There's AARP sub-branded sites. There's stuff around the local healthcare exchange, and just all these different little experiences that have popped up in silos over the years from different lines of business. And it's very inconsistent experience across the board. Different, one site looks like it was made in 1995. The other one's super cool and slick, like it just got built. Most of the work has been Adobe Experience Manager, which is a Java platform, if you guys are familiar. John's working on one that happens to be Sitecore, which is .NET. But just tons of projects. This one here is an example of Community and State, which is a site that's really focused on highlighting what UHC does kind of out in the real world every day in local communities and their success stories. And so we took an existing site and refreshed it with a new look and feel, a new design system, and kind of really tried to bring the content to the forefront. Just in the infancy of the release, but we're also starting to build in some machine learning and some personalization here. With these, right here, these are just content type tags, but there's a lot of different metadata behind it. So we're kind of proactively serving up content that we feel like is going to be relevant for users based on what we know about it. Some other work that we've done at UHC really is about strategy, or what is UHC.com and why does it exist and what purpose does it serve for the business. So a healthcare provider, healthcare insurance, really gets sold to an employer, right? The employer buys the insurance, you go to open enrollment and they're like, here's your insurance, pick plan A, B, or C. So UHC.com marketing to individuals doesn't really make a lot of sense because they're not purchasers, but they are the end users of the insurance, and ultimately their satisfaction leads to more revenue, right? So it's B to B to C. And so there's a lot of complexity around understanding why people come to the site, what they do there, and how it can better serve their needs. So what we did as a multidisciplinary team is pull together our analytics group, strategy group, technology groups, and put together this story of 100 visitors across all the different business units. We have Optum, employer and individual, M&R is Medicare and retirees, CNS is community and state, and then just overall international, right? And so this is just a cool infographic we pulled together based on statistics, the user's journey kind of through the funnel, right? As they arrive there, consider, purchase something, and then get retained as a customer. This is what we use to kind of highlight where people fall off, how they move through the experience. And it was a really cool tool for us to use with executives to kind of tell a story and build a framework for understanding what that strategy should be. So just an example of how we bring multidisciplinary teams together and kind of put the visual piece on front of it. Are you guys familiar with pattern libraries and design systems? Things you've heard of? Vaguely, probably too far on the UI side for you guys, but the big thing that we're working on is driving consistency, like I mentioned, at UHC across all of the different platforms. And so there's a huge exercise for moving through all of the different experiences and understanding the types of content that are displayed, the interactions, the integrations, and building a library that you can take, okay, I need to do this thing with this system, so pick that up, build it, and add to it, so that there's always kind of some consistency for that user experience. And we use AEM to support that, so that it's a component-driven type of system. You guys heard of atomic design at all? No? Okay. So that's kind of designing from these basic building blocks, links, buttons, drop downs, images, placement, right? It all comes together from that library to build out the interactive system. There's details, there's gutters, probably not that relevant for you guys, but it's an important piece of driving. Yeah?
Why specifically did you choose AEM as opposed to someone else, a open source solution for that sort of thing?
That's a great question. UHC chose that for us. So Adobe Experience Manager is probably the preeminent content management system in the industry right now. Most robust offering, most expensive, best support, right? And so in the industry, actually, especially with larger organizations, there's a real kind of hesitancy to use any type of open source solution. And the perception is that it's less secure, it's more open to risk, which we all know is not actually true, but at the enterprise level, there's lots of consternation about doing that. When it comes to Drupal is our main open source solution, so that's kind of where I draw one. We're working with a company called Invent right now that uses that. Belize was an open source project. We did a project with Minneapolis Airport, MSP, the Minneapolis Airport. Their website's powered by Drupal. That's all the ones I can think of that right now that are open source. But primarily it came down to the power behind the digital marketing stack. So Adobe Experience Manager comes with a content management system. It comes with Adobe Target, which you use to generate the rules that push the personalized content. Adobe Analytics is the integrated analytics platform, so Google Analytics Plus. What else? There's Acquia, that's added, the Drupal version of it. But there's lots of different pieces to the kind of marketing stack that they like. Okay. More stuff on the digital guide, not super important to you guys. But at the end of the day, we got some good accolades. We won some awards, Webbies, Web Awards, and good feedback from the client. So just kind of seeing how that all comes together, basically showing we work with huge organizations and do lots of work.
Now, is that a future template, or is that the current template that's on the website right now for UHC?
So this is for this is current for UHC Community and State. This is actually old. No, this is new. We just put this out for UHC.com. It just went live.
That's the one that's, I was looking at.
Yeah,
Just curious.
it just went live a couple of weeks ago. And you know, the hardest thing about working with an organization like this, they have 17 CMOs, right? Each line of business has its own kind of C-suite structure, and then they have structure. And so getting all of those really rich in what they think smart people to align on one thing and move forward, very difficult. So it's a very incremental, kind of gradual shift, kind of literally moving a mountain one rock at a time. And so like, just looking at UHC.com, there used to be a lot of really bold, blue, like hardcore, just like structural segmentation of the site, and the amount of effort it took for us to just get them on board with like opening that up and just making it a little bit airy. It was a 10-month project.
So is the trend like to go more minimal, because like that template's obviously more minimal than the one it's replacing, but okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's a trend. It's more of the attitude we're trying to convey and the types of users we're trying to speak to, and kind of the feel you want when you come to UHC. So UHC wants to be your trusted healthcare partner. They want to be open and welcoming, and for you to feel comfortable coming to the site, navigating, exploring, and finding the thing that you want. And so just giving it room to breathe and all that kind of stuff really, we think makes a difference. The proof will be in the pudding with the analytics.
Do you guys do user case studies, right, when you do this, right?
Oh yeah.
How in depth is that?
So we'll do usability testing kind of during the project. We do monitoring of analytics after the release. Sometimes we'll do A/B testing, so like switch one or two little things out, measure the results, and the Amazon way, so to speak.
How do you guys test accessibility with a site like this?
Good question. Accessibility was going to be a big thing that we wanted to talk about. So there's two sides to accessibility, right? On my side, it's all about font, color contrast, not placing text over images, being able to move through the site with the screen reader, tab order, things like that. But then there's a huge aspect for semantic coding, things being tagged properly, being able to, like, when you move through the screen reader, that it actually describes the elements appropriately and in the right order. So we do visual checks for accessibility, and then we also have code reviews. So we have specific accessibility experts that review that. We go through a remediation report, and it's an emerging thing that's getting more and more focus. Definitely UHC, all the government sites that we work on, anything kind of in the public sector, is a huge focus. You guys heard of the different levels, so there's WCAG, now it's 2.1. There's single A compliance, double A compliance, and triple A compliance. Does that ring a bell? So like most sites are going to want to hit double A, which is that like appropriate color contrast, the semantic coding, and being able to get transcripts for videos. Single A is kind of like you tried, you get a participation award, right? It's generally readable, font is the right size, that kind of stuff. But then triple A is very difficult to obtain. It's like, basically a sight impaired person or someone with a cognitive disability can sit down and use it with absolutely no hiccups. And I've never worked on a project like that, but I just know it exists. Cool. Thank y'all for asking questions. It makes it a lot easier. All right. You gonna go now, John? John's gonna talk about technology. That's what y'all here for.
Hi everyone. So this is a list of like some of our partners. Essentially, we meet certain requirements, like we have a certain amount of people certified, and we get a certain status. And for that, people go to them for certain projects, and then they'll funnel them to us. And same with us, people come to us and we'll say you should use these solutions. So some of the ones I work with most are, like I mentioned, Sitecore, and Azure. Main two areas I dabble in typically. But in the Richmond office, we have people that work with Adobe, Tableau's pretty good too. And sometimes with other projects, they'll be in a lot of other employees like Chicago that'll be more specified. Like for instance, like Chicago has a ton of AEM architects there. So this kind of we kind of say, oh, this would be a good solution for like a site or depending on like what they currently have is usually how we determine it. One of the things I found interesting too when we started, like when I started doing consulting, was that I was always so used to like an in-house kind of thing, and so when we create solutions, sometimes it's not just like we have our own local environments, but they'll be created within the company itself. So they'll spin up like VMs or actually almost employees of the company working directly inside. So that can.
So how many of these platforms ring a bell for you guys?
For me, AWS, Tableau, SAP, Salesforce, Microsoft.
No.
You've worked with them before,
Yeah.
or you've heard of them?
I've worked with them
Yeah.
before, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, like Sitecore is a huge .NET CMS, but it's not open source, so it's not very easy to get to. So I tried my first client with their Sitecore shop. I tried some Sitecore experience. I couldn't do it at all because it's all like to get the training material for $1,500, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been a great way to, after I've gotten it, it's been pretty popular.
Epi servers got that too, right?
Epi Server 2, correct? Yeah.
Salesforce, we do a lot of integration, especially on the personalization side. So we're trying to keep track of users and what they're doing and attribute that to an actual record of a customer. So, if there's a logged in state, super easy. We know who you are. We just build that record and use it. But there's all kinds of voodoo that we do to try and gather that information and use it to make decisions and serve up content or even omni-channel stuff, right? So you did X and Y on the site, so we send you a letter, or a postcard or an email or a text or all kinds of different things that pull it together. So doing a lot of that.
Yeah, especially I worked on something with Salesforce. We have internally host or the on-site host a website for UFC that people can sign up to get newsletters, and we basically the old way to do it was it's really bad. Like they store all the information on our servers and then send them that data like connected. But we changed that to a Salesforce API, so it just goes directly to them. We don't have to host people in their data for them or anything like that. And they immediately get all of that right away. So we've been able to hook up a lot of kinds of integrations to that too. So that's cool. So other things too, maybe to mention, we don't just do CMS stuff. We do some custom apps as well. Typically, one of the more interesting ones I worked on was a kind of grading system for Johnson Controls, how they graded their factories. And essentially, we had created this solution years ago, but they wanted to make it faster. And so we, looking at what they had and what they were trying to do, we decided to go with a containerization of their application so they could scale it up higher and faster. And how we're going to do that using Azure, Kubernetes, and service bus for the venue. So that was a really interesting project. So we just got, I never really touched a lot of that, so you kind of get experience in a lot of things really quickly, and you just get a whole broad experience. Really cool technology right away right after that. So cool. We got all this technology, so we thought we'd do like a little exercise talking about tech stack. So this is really important to us. So when we like pitch a project or something to a client, we have to know like what kind of resources we have. So like how many people do we have that know C#? How many like front-end developers do we have? How many data analysts, etc. Before we can say, oh yeah, we can do that for you, but we don't have the people yet. Or we have some of the people, we just have to hire them. So yeah, so I have some examples of like kind of categories like front-end developers, back-end developers, data developers, etc. So maybe we're thinking about doing an exercise where we kind of find out the tech stack of all of us together, and we can kind of see like, all right, what could us as a room do, and then kind of see maybe some potential clients we could pitch depending on their stack as well. We have a
Yeah, I was looking for that. We're gonna do it on the internet, but I don't have the
Are
internet.
you looking for an expo?
Yeah.
Let's see, do I have one in my bag? I do have one in my bag. Look at that.
Better work, John. Look at that.
There's gonna be a lot of
typically
back-end people.
at ICF we have
Must
software
be a
that
lot.
manages all thousands of employees. They're tagged with like experience and levels and et cetera like that. We even have like needs employees, we call them, but employees that we need to get but don't have yet. So that way we can forecast how much projects would cost in the future, etc. So you can also do this same thing if you're doing like a hackathon or you ever do RVA game jams?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was just recently a game jam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
recently.
coming up with Ludum Dares this Saturday. I can't attend. So you can do the same thing with, with everyone has like their skill sets, and then just stick to those and don't try to take the ass out of it. Let's go creeps up. Cool.
So let's do a capability inventory, right?
Capability.
All right. So front end, what kind of technologies are you guys used to working with? What would you call a capability? Angular?
Yeah.
Vue.js.
So if you know Angular, hold your hand up. Or if you're kind of familiar with Angular, so we got four people with Angular. React, any React? People that
no.
try to React out. We got three React, four React.
Rush, I'm so sorry.
I said Node.js.
Oh yeah, I think everybody has Node.
Yeah.
What about Vue?
Vue, I got
Vue.js.
We got Vue, we got
Big Vue guy.
3, 4, 5.
Pure jQuery.
Huh?
Oh, John, would you
jQuery,
know?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely not.
jQuery. Alright. Raise your hand. Yeah.
Jacobs.
Everyone kind of knows jQuery.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bootstrap.
Bootstrap. What about pure CSS? Anybody ever use
Oh God,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
24 columns.
Damn, put your hand up for CSS.
That was your whole column, bro.
Everybody knows JavaScript. A lot of people know JavaScript.
Yeah.
In general.
TypeScript.
TypeScript.
TypeScript for Angular.
Alright.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know. I want to get out of front end. It's a scary place there.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
All right.
Alright.
How about backend?
What software do you use for UX UI?
Oh yeah, you
Software I
skipped.
use for UX UI. I skipped that because I figured y'all wouldn't care.
We got one. We got the graphic
we got
designer
one
in the
job
room.
designer.
Yeah,
Who
that's cool.
cares?
So Used to be, Axure was our primary wireframing tool, but it's a little clunky and kind of outdated right now. Sketch is really emerging. Have you heard of Sketch?
Yeah.
We use that a lot for wireframing and visual design because you can kind of just take my wireframes that I make and the visual designer can pick right up, add to that file and keep working. So there's not like a lot of throwaway or rework or reconstruction. It's also building in lots of good tools for kind of building that design system and using symbols and repeatable patterns so that you don't like have to redo it every time. You can keep kind of a master set of elements, drop those onto your pages, and then just go back and fix the master elements. I mean, it's just taking nods from object-oriented programming and kind of making it visual. Visual designers still love Photoshop, the whole Adobe suite. Have you heard of InVision? Yeah. We use InVision a lot for making prototypes and sharing with clients.
Like Figma at all?
I've heard a lot about Figma, but we don't have anybody that's using it right now. We have one person that likes to use Adobe XD. It hasn't really caught on all that well either. But yeah, that. We use also for testing. We use Qualtrics for surveys. We use like WebEx for remote usability testing. So with a prototype, do a screen share, kind of walk them through on a call. Prefer that over unmoderated testing. So like if you just use like 5-second usability test or usability.com, you can only get so much data and it takes so much more effort to build that prototype because there's no one there to guide you through it. If something breaks or doesn't work quite right and the person needs a hint, then your data's junk because nobody got to finish it. So lots of stuff there. I'll write that down. How about the back end stuff?
No, get .NET away from us. Get that away.
I mean, I had to learn Unity this weekend.
Java?
No.
Everybody knows Java. The whole CS department here knows Java.
Hey, yeah, Python.
Python.
There we go.
Everybody knows Java?
We got some good languages.
Yeah.
Ruby said like 20 Java.
What?
The last programming class I took was Visual Basic .NET, and then before that I took Visual Basic 6, and then I took C++ for a semester in high school.
Golang.
What's that?
Golang.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. Get 2 for that.
Okay. Like L-A-N-E?
L-A-N-G.
Yeah.
Lang.
Lang, yeah. It's usually just called Go, but if you Google Go, you get a lot of different results, not just Golang.
Got it.
Ruby?
Ruby?
Two.
Why are you guys doing this to yourselves?
No, don't raise your hand for PHP.
I don't want to know PHP, but I know it.
I had to. Yeah.
For .NET?
Unfortunately.
Oh.
Yeah, you got Java for that for
Is this
Spring.
really the only two things you guys know?
We have to learn Java, and then we voluntarily learn Python to escape.
Yeah.
To fix what you broke with Java?
To fix what was broken.
So this is the primary focus, I guess, for you guys. It's a better way to say it. Anyway, that's cool.
You can see it.
And by learning Go. Docker, Kubernetes.
Yeah.
Oh, heck.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know Docker.
Definitely throw Kubernetes on there.
You can, yeah.
Throw K8.
You can make that 3. I didn't raise my hand on accident.
Maybe 17.
Oh,
Make
yeah.
it 4. Yes, no. Keep clone.
Are we counting Kubernetes?
Yeah, K8s.
Kubernetes. Orchestration. You got one orchestrator?
It's automatic, I can't move 4
Kubernetes, like that?
You could just write K8s. I mean, that's close enough.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Is that 7? There's 7 or
What like web servers do you guys use? Like Apache or?
Nginx is the way to go. Yeah. There's no I.
No, I.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
How many for engineering?
Yeah. See?
Any other big ones? Apache, all Java.
Great, Django.
But you, yeah, I guess it's covered by Python though.
Yeah. I cover that in Python. Same with Flask. Like that's covered in Python.
Python web server on your web port instead of a proxy and a web server. No, that's all.
Nope.
All right, databases. Don't.
Stop. Stop it. Stop it right now.
Oracle SQL.
Oracle SQL.
No.
We have to know it. Where's Piano?
MySQL.
Regular Microsoft.
Yeah, they just changed it to mine.
Was it?
Well, Microsoft.
Oh, stop! Get out of here.
Don't all these more or less fall under the same domain though? Like,
Yeah.
Well, Oracle SQL.
We did MongoDB,
I mean,
Firebase,
Yeah, if you do
yeah, Firebase.
Firebase.
Mongo.
That's respectable. Elasticsearch. We'll put there with Elasticsearch.
Excel.
Google. Hey, Google Sheets. Please put up Google Sheets on there. I'm for VCU, unfortunately.
VCU actually uses Google Sheets, so let's not.
We can't play. We can't play.
We have to put that up there.
So what's the most popular database?
I think I like Postgres. We use Postgres or MySQL.
Okay.
I use
Alright,
MongoDB.
Yeah.
Alright.
P by Mongo. Heck yeah.
So what UI tools do you use? Sorry. You got UI tools? Figma.
Unstoppable.
Yeah. Oh, hey, don't
He's
you-
already on my team for hackathons. Though,
Hey, he knows.
So yeah, it's a great way to kind of determine like capabilities and things like that. Like I mentioned, it's all done through like software that has all these resources and hours available and stuff like that. And there's also like how much people cost, and you can just immediately see how much things are going to be.
Yeah.
So,
What's your question?
How do you manage, right, so say you have a large group of people with different capabilities, right? How do you balance that with, we don't want to write this as something that will be obsolete in 5 years, for instance?
right. Well, so sometimes it like there would be like a maintenance project that's just like a client has like a bunch of things that they want to fix like on their website, and it's not the best. It's usually like something like it's like an older version of something like a jQuery or things like that. But we typically will go in and we'll do like the project work where we follow the way, saying, oh, this is, we fixed it, but this would be way better if we do this and propose projects that way. So you kind of like show like, oh yeah, we can do this already, we can fix it, but it would be a lot happier and build a better relationship in that sense. So, that goes.
Yeah, we do a lot of talking about technical debt, right? So clients will say, we don't care, just do it.
Yeah.
Actually, you're gonna be mounting up all this debt that you're gonna have to go back and fix later, and so you're spending exponentially more money down the road than you would if you just did it right now. But like that, forced to find you by clients is kind of like the rub, as it were, right? The hard part about working in the consulting industry is sometimes you can beat your head against the wall with the client trying to explain to them the right thing to do, and they're, nah, we're going to do it this way, and you just got to do it sometimes. So.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a really, like some projects are really worth it. That's like, if it's like something that's really old, like you wouldn't be able to find anybody in the first place to fix it.
We just won't respond.
Yeah, so like, there's issues like that sometimes.
Do the types of methodologies change, like between projects? Like do some projects use like Agile and some things like that?
Yep. Yeah, we have some projects that are agile. We have some projects that are pure waterfall. We have some projects we call Wagile or Watergile. Right. It's really hard in the consulting industry to pull off a pure agile project because we're getting paid by the hour, right? And cut the whole mentality of Agile is fail and redo, and then get it right. And so to go to a client and say, pay me $300 an hour so I can fail a bunch of times until we get it right is not like the easiest sell to make, you know. But we do have projects. Eaton is one. We do a lot with Amway like this, where it's kind of like staff aug. They just purchase capacity from us, and it's just an ingrained, embedded team. And so those projects are pure Agile with the daily scrums, Kanban board, and all that kind of stuff. But most of the time, we like to strike the balance between that waterfall and Agile, because there do have to be kind of phase gates. Like, you got to get the strategy set and then build on that. Got to get the UI set and then build. And then once we get into those development sprints, we really do kind of organize into sprints and do demos and kind of work through iteratively. And you know, the whole perspective is, you guys know this, but like, it's easy to course correct 100 times 1 degree than it is one time 100 degrees. So, yep.
Is there any collaboration between those columns, or do they all work?
No, absolutely not. Not allowed to speak. No. I'm sorry.
I didn't know this was Microsoft.
It's actually, collaboration is super important. When we plan these projects, we want to have at least the lead from each one of these groups equal representation from day one. We want the back-end developer sitting in on brainstorming sessions. I'll get you in 1 second. Brainstorming sessions for UX and UI, and making sure that that perspective is brought into the decisions that we make here. Because one small nuance change or decision here in the UX UI could equate to hundreds of hours of development here. Whereas if we had just done something slightly different, it would be something you could do off the shelf. So it's super important that everyone's involved. What you got, man?
So I noticed under your DB list you have Google Sheets. How does one use Google Sheets?
You're welcome, Nick.
Yeah,
I put that.
Oh, you, okay. That's what I do.
You use Google Sheets for a database.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can do the F script. But I was curious if anybody else actually did. It's not a good thing.
Everybody's
not
doing
good.
it.
You're doing things wrong.
Tell Houston that.
Very cheap solution.
Yeah, it is very
It's like free, it's so cheap.
Yeah, it's free.
Oh,
It can't get better than that.
I'm so glad Nick's caught that.
You guys are gonna miss the fireworks. Coolest part of our presentation.
Yeah, I've used Google Sheets in some hackathons before, because it is
Yes. Yes.
create it really quick.
I wish the last hackathon was RAM hacks, and there was a MongoDB challenge. So the team said, "Let's do MongoDB." I wish we would have done a Google Sheet. Mm-hmm.
MongoDB's fun.
You know how hard it was to VPN out of VCU to try to connect to MongoDB on Micah's VPN?
That is at his parents' house.
He's at his parents' house.
Yeah.
I did the Tableau conference. They have a hackathon every year, and I did a Tableau in virtual reality, and essentially I created a Tableau dashboard on their public site that connected to Google Sheet. So that's my experience.
So, let me get it hooked up to the internet here, because I'll do that for the stack share. What's the Wi-Fi?
Guest network will probably be the easiest one, and then it's gonna prompt you to like log in as a guest.
Yeah, just give it an email. I'll switch to my name.
Do you, what hackathons have you been to?
I gotta create an account.
There was one in Richmond, our DA Tech did. It's called. It was
Okay.
like Civic Hack. No, there was a one called Code for America that was civic hacking. And like I think it was sponsored by Google, and they had all these fellows that were around the country. That was a few years ago, and we made for that one we did it was called HealthWeb. Essentially, we just created a website that you could find all kinds of services and administration things like, you know, if you're homeless, you could have all these different kinds of services. trouble getting food, like asking for banquets. I looked at that one recently. They're not doing it anymore in Richmond. RVA Tech used to do one. The only ones I found were the VCU ones actually. Ram hacks. Earth hack, I think.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. But also just RVA Tech Jams. It's not really a hackathon, but
Yeah, the VCU had its own game jam a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
So,
So, I know it was sponsored by RVA Game Jam, so they came by and checked things out.
yeah, I mean that's just like the best way to like spend like really get like something you can put that like on a LinkedIn or a resume to show like I don't just program because it's my job, it's because I do it for fun. That really goes a long way.
Yeah, there's a lot of interviews where they will ask you about specifics of personal projects, rather than like, all right, how was it working here?
Yeah. So yeah, it's always like make sure you have your own website, just a portfolio. That's my biggest recommendation.
So here's a quick hint. We were interviewing a guy a couple years ago, and we asked for a code sample, and the dude went and got a book, tutorial, and used the book to do the code sample. And our interviewers took a look at it, copied some of the code, and Googled it, and like came up word line for line. Like, dude, you just used a tutorial and wrote this code. Like, not only did he not get hired, but like people talk, right? And like, so and so just gave us a copy and paste. So don't do that. We'll find out. So, Stack Share. Have you guys ever heard of this?
No.
So John actually was including me into this. It's a pretty cool way to kind of like snoop around on companies and see what their tech stack is like. And it's useful for us in a lot of ways because we get an RFP, request for proposal, trying to win a new project, and they give us a limited amount of information to respond to. We can know the details in order to be able to plan the project and understand everything that's going to go on. And you can only ask so many questions and interact with them so much during the sales process, while also strategically not trying to give away stuff to your competitors. So we can use a tool like this to investigate, say, we were going to have y'all call out something. So name some major company, really big one.
Capital One.
Capital One.
Don't stop.
Just Java.
That,
I thought Reddit.
okay.
Tried Reddit, Facebook earlier.
Okay.
There we go. So based on this,
Get
you
some
think we
flask on
could
there.
work with Reddit? We have capabilities?
I'm very good at it.
Yeah.
All right, Andre. I've had enough of you.
Unicorn. They use Docker.
I would hope so.
I'll put them on Docker.
I'm sure they use G Unicorn with Flask.
Python too. I kind of see.
Twilio, that's unfortunate. Twilio is so expensive.
Oh, go to DevOps.
So I think.
Wait, is there a DevOps section?
Yeah.
There's a DevOps section. Is it down?
Down.
Scroll down
Can
to
you
the
scroll down a little
DevOps. Okay.
Thank you.
There we go. Get
It's
npm
not that. Not that
logstash makes
insightful.
sense. I mean logstash. Oh, Jira. Oh no.
Accomplished children have issues. Have you guys used Jira before?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we use Jira and Confluence.
Project method.
Yeah.
That's great.
User stories. Yeah. What's another one?
It wouldn't be a client probably, but Airbnb I think has like the best, showing of all their stuff. So, and that's one of my favorite websites too. But they have a really detailed
Google
stack
Analytics.
here. A lot of stuff like that.
Wow.
They got chef on there.
So.
I don't know what that is. Oh. Wow. Slack.
About,
G Suite.
maybe
Let's go.
maybe like a
Who's
lottery,
nice
like,
to
We do work with California Lottery.
What do they use to do? No. Why do they use to do? What kind of data distribution do they need?
it's not that easy to work.
Oh, you're right, because, like, yeah, actually.
Maybe
That
like a
makes
Target.
sense.
It's
They
kind
got
of
a
like
lot of data.
high,
Yeah.
a lot of marketing.
Target.
Very
Target.
accessible site. They have one of the most accessible sites.
They use Haskell. That's interesting.
They also use Go though.
Haskell
and
and Rust.
Wow. Target really knows what they're doing.
Go, Rust, Haskell. They're doing some crazy
Yeah.
things.
Docker and DevOps. Perfect. Yeah, I think I'm gonna work at Target.
Yeah.
We could probably fix
PowerShell.
something to that
Never mind.
too, so.
It says PowerShell.
Oh yeah, no PowerShell. Never mind.
Such good languages, but then they use PowerShell. That's crazy.
It's interesting sometimes how antiquated clients can be.
Yeah.
Like you get stuck with something and it's just expensive and hard to get off of it. I remember, this was years ago, I was working at CarMax. It was a different time. CarMax is a spinoff of Circuit City.
Yeah.
A long time ago, right?
Yeah.
And so their main operations are still running off of a mainframe from the 80s that's still named like a Circuit City 01 or something like that. It's just
Yeah.
so much stuff
Amazing.
there and so hard to
Amazing.
change.
Yeah.
Dahlberg would lose his mind.
Carmax.
They're on a mainframe.
Yeah, throw Carmax up there real quick. I'm truly hope mainframe is up there. Let's see. Azure.
Not up there anymore.
.NET, so yeah. Gosh. Interesting. That's yeah. Cloudflare.
It's also a good way to like, if there's like a certain site you like, you can see like, where they see exactly from.
Yeah.
Especially if they're websites.
Gotcha.
I find that interesting.
I think that that's an interesting thing to touch on too. Like, how much time do you spend or on a project, like investigating, figuring out, using tools like this to reverse engineer things before you actually have to go and put figures to keys and start writing code?
Yeah, it usually depends. Like, the more complicated, the more time, of course. So a lot of things were, that are gonna like, especially like, a lot of user forms that require a lot of validation and security and stuff. Depending on what they have available to, can take a while. I'd say, I usually will take about half a day to kind of like research it, and then I don't know how much more research I'll need to take to figure something out. So after that, I might come back with questions. So it'd be, usually have no more than a week of like in between other projects.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah, because you want to make sure the estimation is a huge part, because if we have to go over, then that's a really bad delivery, and it makes us look bad because the client's really unhappy. So
Make money.
yeah, a lot more money, and then the better we do, the more business we get.
I just looked at the clock, we're out of time.
Oh,
So I wanted to save like 15 minutes for questions, but we've been talking throughout. Do you guys have any questions, anything maybe you were hoping we talk about it, we didn't? Do you think we're jerks and we should just leave? Just anything.
What do UX teams look like?
What do UX teams look like? So we typically have at least one UX architect and one visual designer, and sometimes a strategist, right? So UX architect is looking at things like information architecture, content strategy, navigation, taxonomy, metadata, all of the things that go into organizing information before you even touch the UI. Formative research, right? Who are the users? How can we segment that out? What is their pathway through their experience with the organization? Online and offline touch points. That kind of then feeds into the wireframing and the touch on the UI. Visual designers pick up. Sometimes we'll double stack, like if we're short on time, we have 2 or 3 people working together and share files and kind of pushing that through. It gets complex when you do that though, version issues and kind of like there's just so many nuanced choices you have to make when you're building out a UI that if not everyone's of the same mind, then things go kind of all over the place. The biggest change really over the last few years is like, it used to be like some remote work, like one person here, one person there. Nowadays, everyone is in a different place, it seems like, whether you had to travel for a client thing or you just work in different offices, So you spend a lot of time on the phone, a lot of video conferencing, tons of different online collaboration tools, shared files, version check in, check out. So it's just kind of like a way of life for sure.
Yeah, so I guess piggying off of that, so you guys for your teams are set up where there is a team specifically for UI, UX, there's a team specifically for front end, specifically for back end. There's not teams that are sort of a mix of a
The
bunch of them.
teams are mixed for sure.
Okay, so there are like full stack teams.
Yeah, but
Okay.
people are dedicated. Unicorns aren't real. We don't hire them. They don't exist. But there are people who know lots of stuff about lots of stuff. But you can't really have somebody that's an expert on everything.
Yeah.
Right? And if they claim that. Yeah.
What are the typical length of the times that you're with your customers? So from planning to deployment and just, I mean, I know you monitor from there on, but what are the typical lengths of these contracts that you have with your customers?
It varies widely. We have projects that are 6 weeks long, and just strategy and discovery and something that goes on the table for later, or that JCI, Johnson Controls project. I was actually the person who designed that scoring system, and that engagement lasted 5 years, 6 years now. It started to kind of fade off a little bit, but it just depends, because that was a custom app. We built it, we supported it, we managed enhancements and ongoing improvement. So, yeah. Any other questions?
Nope.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
You guys said you are hiring.
Gum and pens. Please take them so I don't know.
You guys are hiring developers now, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
And there would be like where you guys said like at the downtown.
Yep.
Downtown Richmond.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, our office is downtown in the north side of the BB&T buildings. We got offices in Chicago, Minneapolis, Columbus, Ohio.
Chicago? Yeah.
Technically, Fairfax for sure. Technically, there's an office in LA, but no one works there. There's an office in DC, but no one works there.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Is it just like an office like workspace, or is it like a full like we have an
Not really,
office
no.
office?
It's mainly just a place to
For
have
like
meetings
well
with
in you said
clients.
LA just like they have an office but nobody's there. Is it just like a room?
We do have an office. It's just a small.
Okay, that's yeah.